No.
No?
Okay, we're live.
Looks live to me.
Looks live.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
It's the best way to introduce a technology session by saying that it's Friday the 13th. So we see you all in the chat room. Welcome. This is Leslie Accardo and May Isaac and Alana Winnick.
Hi.
We're broadcasting our second episode live from Model Schools, and this has been a labor of love because, as you can see, we pulled out all the stops here. So the first thing we want to do is make sure our audio is coming through okay. So I see we're monitoring a back channel here. I see some of you are here. If you can just let us know by just typing in the back channel very quickly that you are hearing audio, we'll pause for just a minute and give you a chance to get set, and I'll give you some context for what today's session is going to be about. So we have about an hour, and we have a guest speaker that's going to be joining us very shortly. So let us know that you're here and that you're in. I see Valerie, I see Cheryl online in the chat area, and again, we are broadcasting this live. So your participation, the back channel, is really going to be critical and key. So let me just give you a little idea about what you're looking at here. My colleague Alana really takes the credit for setting this room up. So we're using, which you can't see, we're using a pretty high-tech Logitech camera. Thank you, Cheryl. You said all is fine. You see behind us that in case our screen sharing, which we're going to do through the Google Hangout, in case it decides that it's Friday the 13th today,
Always have a backup plan.
we have a backup plan to actually project and show you. So you can see this looks like Command Central here.
This one is the one that's controlling the Hangout. It is the Model Schools account. This one is my account, my own personal account. So last time we had a screen sharing issue. So in case something happens with this account, we're also on from this computer, so we could take over from here. And this one is also wirelessly projecting to the Apple TV to the screen behind you.
So we will also show you projecting by, again, Apple TV. We've got a variety of devices here. So eventually what I'd love to see happen when we get our feet under us a little bit more is a true Google Hangout is having you folks in the room with us.
Yeah.
And right now we're basically considering this kind of a unilateral broadcast, and the back channel is a way for you to participate with us. So right now we're kind of talking to this cosmic unblinking camera eye. And like I said, when we get our feet under us a little bit more, we expect you folks to be in the room with us. So I'm just curious how many of you that are joining us right now have ever participated in a Google Hangout. And you can just pull up the back channel and let us know. I think this year is the first year that we've recognized that it's important to break down all the time and space barriers. And I can't tell you how many districts we currently work with that use Google Hangout as a lifeline. So I'm just curious what your experience is until we get a chance to warm up here.
It's really starting to take off, all the Google Hangouts. If you see, there's the Google Helpouts and things like that. I mean,
so wait, tell everybody what Helpout is if they're not familiar.
Helpout.
Oh,
just
yeah.
in case you haven't seen it. This actually was brought to my attention by Alana over here. She gets full credit because she was like, "Did you see this? Have you checked this out?" So that's sort of like what this podcast grew out of. I don't know if we want to call it we call it a vodcast, whatever we're calling this now.
Right.
Our Hangout. She was telling me about it that, Google Hangouts has sort of gone to a way where you can book that time with either a company. A company has put up some resources that help sort of like instructional videos, or there's even people getting in on it as a business, as like a side offering to offer their skills and expertise. So
yeah, we found some computer people that were offering computer repair, and through a Hangout you could actually do remote desktop, so they could take over your computer with your permission, and they can help you with your problem.
I mean,
but there's also like Home Depot ones. If you're doing some home project and you need to bring the expert into your home, they could help you through the problem. There's Sephora has one if you want makeup lesson. There's
You'd be glad to know that we're not charging you for this.
Yeah, we're
not actually charging for this broadcast yet. So the potential, really, I think Google I think Google Plus being more of that social networking response to Facebook, we haven't found a tool that's as elegant and easy to use for getting everybody together, being able to stream. So what also is happening here is we're taking this Google Hangout and we're actually streaming it and archiving it so that it's going to be accessible to you after the actual live event. And since you registered in my learning plan, we'll send you the link if you want to share snippets of it. If you want to remix and recast or just pop to the highlights, you'll be able to do that as well.
Yep. And then they can follow on our YouTube channel as well.
Yes.
Which I know is definitely linked on our page.
There's at least 4 likes so far, so it's the 3 of us and probably somebody else. So
That's good.
let me set up the premise for today a little bit. So today is all about, I think we called it Tech the Halls in the spirit of recognizing the holiday. Today is all about flipping the classroom. And we each decided that we have a story to tell, and there's so many stories to tell about flipping. Mm-hmm. So we can go on and on, but to be honest with you, with the accessibility of mobile devices, the Common Core, the increased need for rigor and student engagement, I think that was the perfect storm, because a day goes by where I'm not in a district where somebody talks about flipping the classroom. So really that's what we're going to focus on today. And the format is going to be, each one of us has something that we're going to share with you, and we haven't shared with each other yet, so it's going to be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
And
It's like our gift to each other.
Well, hopefully. This is our way of being spontaneous. It's highly unscripted, but each of us have our feet planted in so many different worlds in technology and in the districts that it's very easy for us to kind of talk off the cuff. So we're going to start out with a little bit of a sharing and project and give you some resources, but really the highlight of today is we're going to have, and he's not on yet so I can say this about him, I call him a prodigy.
No, seriously.
Somebody that we met through one of our standard model schools workshops, and
over the summer,
to make a long story short, he's developed a superb start to his craft about flipping the classroom. So
in such a short period of time.
And I'll let Alana basically introduce him. So
I think I should do it while he's on, because I think he'll want
to chime in.
He'll
want to
chime in, I think, because I was going to do that. I'm just going to email
So Seth
him.
is going to be joining us from Blindbrook, and according to our system clock, probably in about 4 minutes or so. So
yeah.
Why don't I, and then as we're talking, folks, what I'd like you to do is use the back channel, because it's not disruptive, right? So the back channel is just a way to harness all of the collective intelligence. And if you've got questions, if you have links, if you have resources.
We all have it up too, so we can all respond.
We're triple multitasking, so we're monitoring the back channel, and we're also speaking to you and speaking out as well. So you ladies I don't think you know what I'm going to share.
No.
So
and I'm looking forward to it.
Usually when we talk about sharing a resource, it's about, when you hear the term flipping the classroom, your mind immediately goes to, well, it has something to do with creating video. It has something to do with that time shift that happens. So in working with a group of teachers with Irvington, I very serendipitously came on a free iBook. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually switch, and I'm going to show, Alana, I think I'm just going to...
Yep, you could take over.
Throw this up behind?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to, from my iPad, I'm basically just going to start, I'm going to start sharing. I'm going to use the iPad AirPlay behind me to start showing.
Now that is a good thing to even show too.
Right.
Because some people don't have an AirPlay.
Well,
something like that.
I just actually...
it's very easy, and I have to say, I was very interested in doing it in my home as well.
I think what you should be seeing behind me...
I don't see it
Let me just turn this on again. I'm going to turn mirroring on.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Now, folks, we understand this is
it's a little bit fuzzy.
This is going to be tricky for you.
I think we might need to do screen sharing with Reflector. So let me just open Reflector.
So let me just tell you where I found this. And this is basically, this book is based on some work I did in preparation for actually going into a district and doing some, I would think, work just beyond the flipping of the video part. So
can you just try here?
Sure.
And then I'll share my screen.
All right, so I'm going to share with Alana's MacBook instead and see if it's easier for you folks to see.
Yep, I see it here. So now let me just share my screen.
So I want you folks to let us know if you're actually seeing an iPad right now.
Should be. Yeah. Just let us know through the Today's Meet back channel.
As if you are, because it's not like it's Friday the 13th or anything.
Yeah, right.
So let me just go back. Let me go back a little bit to the table of contents, just so you can actually see. So this book is available through the iBookstore, and it's Dr. Dawn Wilson and a cohort of teachers, basically, that created a book just about flipping, but what I like about this is if you take a look, you should be seeing the table of contents right now. Chapter 3 is particularly good, what it is and isn't. I think for me, the #1 conversation is, well, flipping is easy. What people notice is that there's a time shift and a distinct difference in how they're actually using their class time. So Chapter 4, how to make the most of class time. In this book, again, it's free. I would hop on it when you can. I don't know if it's available in any other marketplace, but I just downloaded it for my iBook right now. If you take a look, there's a really strong tie to Marzano's strategies, and anytime you can see something like this is basically grounded in what we already know works. But this is such an easy read, and I just love the fact that there are so many links embedded within it, so that when we're talking about creating content and having students creating content, there's links that are already here. But I have to be honest with you, one of my favorite chapters is all about flipping tools, because quite honestly, you don't want to focus on the technology, but you have to talk about it.
Yeah,
because the creative process is part of that initial, thought process about what am I trying to distill in a video between 7 and 10 minutes that I can unpack when we're in class the next day. Right.
You almost don't want to consider the technology as how you're going to do it, but you want to sort of envision what you're going to do and then plug the technology in afterwards.
Right. The other thing that we find is that most of the phenomena that I've seen, people that are doing the flipping tend to be more at the middle and the high school level, and maybe that's just because that's the spheres that I'm working in right now. What's really great about this book actually has examples. I'm going to make this a little bigger. I don't know if you folks can actually see this, but you should be able to go and download the book because it's free. But you've got examples
links afterwards too
of a flipped kindergarten ELA classroom all the way up to a flipped 9th through 10th grade classroom. But what this shows you, I'm going to pick on 8th grade right now because Seth is 8th grade science. What this book does is it actually shows you, it shows you the whole spectrum from planning to actually evaluating and what should happen during the class time itself as well.
And that's really an important thing. I mean, to sort of prepare for today, I did, a lot of reading because I haven't done a lot in the flipped classroom model. I'm not teaching right now, so I had to sort of brush up. And that really was a major consideration that people have. What am I going to do with all this class time? Because you're so used to, okay, that's when I do my lecture, we do our review, but it really is a consideration that you have to take into account. It's from the way you've been teaching to change it.
Right.
You have to consider all factors. So
and
really,
I think one of the things that I found is that when people actually, we offer classes here, beginner classes, intermediate on flipping the classroom, and Seth hopefully will talk a little bit about that as well because he attended the intro one.
Yeah.
But when people actually see it, there's something that they get immediately. Like, you can describe it, you can philosophize about it, you can show some of the tools, but somehow being in there is
a light bulb moment.
It is a light bulb.
When you're teaching in the class, when you're
from that point on,
in their eyes.
There's almost no, but having something like this, I think, is background. I think I'm going to incorporate this into some of the classes that we run.
Yeah,
and
it's a great prep.
The book itself, and we'll make sure that it gets to the back channel and out to you by email, but it gives an illustration about, okay, what happens at home? What's the prep? What's the message to the students? What potentially could be a message to the parents? And what are some examples of things that can happen in class as a way to balance the time shift? The time that you are gaining allows you to go deep and wide. And I think that's, without fail, that's what I'm hearing from teachers that are doing it, is they're recouping all this time, and then that creates an atmosphere for all these other things to happen when we say that we don't have time to do everything. So
yeah, it's when you say you want to do projects or you want to do hands-on activities, this gives you the sort of foundation to work with. Your students are coming prepared and ready to go to that next level, but you're also, it gives you that way to differentiate when you get in there. You could have somebody doing support for a particular work, but you also could have people doing more advanced topics, which is really
And I'm curious if
Lovely.
you folks that are actually watching this, if you know of or have stories or have tried doing it yourself, you can let us know that too in the back channel. So anyway, that is my share right now. And where are we with?
I am ready to introduce Seth. So let me just invite him in.
Seth is being invited to this call. So he's actually, unlike you folks, he's actually going to be a participant in the call with us. So this is what it really feels like to participate in an actual Google Hangout. He's in the room with us, and Alana's at the master control, so she'll make sure he gets in safely.
Seth, are you there? I see him. Says he joined.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Do we have to enable his audio?
no, he'll join in a second. Well, Seth, oh, there you are.
Hey,
Hey, Seth.
good morning. How are you?
How are you, Seth?
Oh,
I'm doing
there
great.
you
How are you?
Good. You have, what do you have, a medal around your neck? What is that?
Oh, this is what we wear. It says "Kids First,"
That's fantastic.
and it's our way of just showing why we're all here.
That's true.
Tell us, where are you right now physically?
I am sitting in the conference room at Blindbrook High School,
Okay.
Which I've never been in except for today, which is a very nice space.
Yeah.
It might be your own little broadcast studio. You can
Yeah.
see
Could
that.
be. It could
We
be.
actually decorated the place for you, Seth. You can
Yeah.
see all the backdrops, and it looks like we have our own broadcasting studio. But this
It
is
does.
this is the lab where if you Alana basically has an introduction, but we have really a nice audience actually watching us right
Yeah,
now. We're
there's-
also running a back channel, so I'll let Alana facilitate the discussion with you, and we can take it from there.
Okay, Seth. So Seth is an 8th grade science teacher. He came to his first class. It was Leslie's flipped class, right? That was your.
I don't know if that was the first, but
I
that was
mean,
one of
over
them.
the summer. The first one over the summer.
I think so.
And then he came to quite a few more, and then he, out of nowhere, became this amazing flipped classroom teacher. So quickly. I mean, really, so quickly. So I saved this while you were on because I know you wanted to comment on it. So while Seth, Leslie, you're going to think this is hilarious. So
I can hardly wait.
while Seth was here for the class, Leslie gave them a little assignment to make a short little screencast. Well, Seth goes way above and beyond a little screencast and decides to try iMovie for the first time ever on an iPad.
Is that true, Seth? First time ever?
First time ever. Yes.
So Seth goes in the other room for a little bit of quiet atmosphere, and all we start hearing over the loudspeakers. Do you remember this, Leslie?
Yeah.
Bueller. We're like, what? Where is that
Came
coming
through.
from? He was projecting his audio through the Apple TV.
And meanwhile, he disappeared, right?
He
so we had no idea
disappeared.
where in the building he was, but our audio was all connected. So we're working with a group of people, and they're being very studious about it. And then you start hearing some audio coming through, and we're looking at each other trying to figure out. So lo and behold,
It's Seth. So I actually have a copy of this video that he made. And
oh,
so
wow.
the video was really, some people took it as making a mini flipped lesson for their classroom. Seth made a video on what is the flipped classroom, and I think it's really amazing. And with his permission, I already asked permission, he said I can share it. So, Seth, do you want to say anything before I play it?
My very first attempt with iMovie, done in about 3 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
great.
but it doesn't look like it. You'll see. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to play it for you.
Fantastic.
Hold on.
All right.
Oh, this is good.
Let's see what we have.
As much as we hate to admit it, in just a few short weeks, we'll be back in our classrooms.
It's summer, right?
But why are we there? Are we there to teach facts? Are we there to have our students memorize information? This is the 21st century. We all have devices at our fingertips. We can Google and find out any facts we need to know. Bueller, anyone? Why am I here? What's he talking about? I don't understand any of this. I'm a teacher. I'm not supposed to be bored saying the same facts over and over all day long. That's not why I'm here. This is the 21st century. We have different needs. We have different problems to solve. Our students are all different. They have different strengths, different weaknesses. They learn at their own pace. They have questions that they want to pursue. We need to change the model. We need to find time to develop critical thinking skills. We need to help our students become literate in terms of technology and computers. We need to have them engage in discourse and dialogue with each other, to propose things, to defend arguments, to support themselves. That's the 21st century. That's what we need to do.
Seth, did you ever think you'd see that again now on a
As much as we hate
No.
So what I just
That's
wrote
impressive.
what I just wrote in the back channel is what was amazing to us was not so much the fact that you were so good with the technology, but you cut to the chase and you just got an immediate grasp. It's almost like you had an immediate vision of what we're calling flipping actually is a means to an end, and that's what everyone is finding. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and it's been a fantastic tool, and I can't even imagine how I taught for so many years without flipping my classroom.
So I'm going to ask if people in the back channel have specific questions, but we're going to kind of start prompting some discussion with you now.
So Seth, could you just tell us just tell us how you flipped so far? Like, do you want to share anything, or
Sure.
before I ask questions, do you want to just jump in?
Yeah, I mean, however you want to pursue. I'll show you some of the things that I've done, inspired by the workshops that I took with you guys over the summer. During the summer, I started...
You know how to screen share, Seth?
No, let me figure this out.
If you hover over the screen, you'll get some icons on your left-hand side. There's a screen with it's a green screen with a white arrow. Do you see that?
Yes.
Just click that, and then your screen will be shared with us.
Okay, and I click full screen or Google Plus Hangout?
If you hover over the Google Hangout, there's just these icons on the left-hand side, and towards the top left, there's just a green rectangle with a white arrow pointing to the right.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
And now you
Nice.
could just minimize our Hangout, and whatever else you want to share, you could share.
Okay.
So now I see you.
You see me, you don't see my screen?
Yeah, you did. You clicked it again. I think you got out of it.
Okay, hold on one sec.
And then just choose desktop if it asks you for an option.
Let's-
Just share your whole desktop.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, so can you see my screen?
Now we see you again. Oh.
We did see your
There we
screen.
go.
There we go.
Just for a
Got it?
moment. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to mute my microphone so your screen stays up.
Okay. So I started making videos during the summer after I took the first workshop with you, and since that time I've made a whole bunch of them. And I started off really simply, and I think it's important to do that. So some of my first videos were really just like PowerPoints or smart notebook files that I already had, and I used screen capture software to capture what I had while I was, narrating it. And so some of the first videos I made were just really simple. I'll show you a little piece of one. Hi everybody. Today we're going to take a look at topographic maps, and I'm going to teach you how to read them, and we're going to go through some of the rules that will help them make sense. So right now you're looking at a topographic map, and it probably looks like a bunch of squiggles and lines and colors. Probably does not make too much sense to you. Here's another topographic map. Same certain features that you will open. So you get the idea. So it was basically a smart notebook file that I narrated over, and I edited a little bit to make it video friendly. And I made other videos using a program called Powtoon, which Alana, you and Leslie introduced me to, which lets you...
One of our favorites.
Put it on.
One of your favorites. So here's a Powtoon. So there are these animated cartoons that you can create. And so this was the first one I did, so I just put a music soundtrack in.
Let's fast forward a little bit to one of the mathematical equations in the video.
Okay.
I know most of his videos.
Let's see. So it's basically walking my students through how to use this rate of change formula.
That for just a minute.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
And then, so that was the first Powtoon that I made. And then what I figured out is that you could, it took a little bit of work, but you could actually record your voice first and then build the Powtoon around that. So some of the other videos, it's actually me speaking. Let's see. Not sure why the sound isn't working, but anyway, it was basically I took a lesson and I recorded it and I made it about 8 minutes long, and my students had a guided note sheet to follow. And what I found is that there were so many benefits to doing it this way because my students were able to watch the video at their own pace.
Seth, we don't see we just see ourselves. If you're trying to show something.
Okay, wait. Let's see. Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, it's the infinity effect.
Just, ooh.
Seth, while you're just looking at that, we had a great question that I think you can answer without showing anything, but I've heard this a lot. So someone wants to know how, or did you explain to parents what you were going to do? Because some of the feedback that teachers are getting is the immediate perception that, well, if you're sticking them in front of a computer and they're just watching content, you're not really teaching anymore. So how do you respond to that, and what have you had to deal with that yourself?
Seth, try unsharing your screen for a second. Just unshare it. Click that. There you go.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So what I did, and I basically sort of sold it at open house.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids had already watched a few videos at that point, and the kids themselves were really positive about them. And so what I did is I explained to parents that by using this method, their students were able to sort of get the information, sort of the basic facts, at their own pace. They could pause it. They could rewatch it. They could write down questions without feeling embarrassed to raise their hand in front of the whole class to ask me. And what it does is they go home and they watch a video. So they're not going home and struggling with heavy-duty thinking that they're getting frustrated by and their parents can't help them with. They're able to do the heavy-duty thinking in the classroom with me there to support them and to guide them through it. And I think the kids and the parents really appreciate that. Because no one wants to go home and fight with their child about, you need to do your homework, and the child says, I don't know how to do it, and so the parent tries to do it, but the parent can't do it. Mm-hmm. And so it puts the heavy-duty thinking in the classroom with the teacher and puts sort of the lighter stuff at home.
Have you found, Seth, this is May, just asking a question, have you found a greater rate of completion by doing it this way? I mean, that might be something that the parents are also interested in, that more kids are apt to do their homework if they...
Seth, tell them about what you do if they don't do it, and then also tell them about your little survey you did. Tell them both things.
I think for the middle school, right? I have a 7th grader I could send your way.
Yes, in a middle school, I teach 8th grade. And so what I do is, so the videos basically are giving the kids your basic information that otherwise I'd have to deliver through a lecture. Mm-hmm. So I give them some sort of guided note sheet that they fill out, and they have to have it with them the next day because they then use that to start working on a lab or to start a literacy project. And if they don't have those notes, they can't do the lab or they can't do the project. So students who don't do it have to go to the back of the room and get on a computer and watch the video there. But it turns out that I have a box full of headsets that I've never used. And the first time kids didn't do it, I said, all right, go back, watch the video. Turns out the headsets are really uncomfortable. They don't have the foam padding over the ears, they're just plastic. So the kids hated it, and so no one's skipped a video since then.
It's like torture. It's like torture
It is
for
like,
them.
the 12-pound big
Yeah.
Yeah,
old
the
headphone-
big-
yeah.
Plastic hard ones.
Yes.
Remember those Walkman headphones they used to get that had the foam?
It doesn't even have foam though. There's not even any
Oh,
padding.
No one says
Right.
Walkman anymore.
Well, that's why I'm saying.
And then
that.
share with them the survey you did with your students.
Okay, let me see if I'm
Well,
still...
you don't need to physically share. You could talk
Okay.
about it if you want. You could
So-
physically, whatever you want.
So I had my kids take a survey one night using Google Drive, and what I asked them is I asked them to think about the videos and have they been useful, have they been easy to understand, do they like watching them, you know, if you had a choice of homework, would you rather watch a video or do some worksheets? And overwhelmingly, the kids responded very favorably with the videos. They love them, they want nothing else but videos, except for one student. Very interestingly, one student really does not like the videos.
Did they say why?
Well, I think she's a very high-achieving student, and I think that she's sort of forced to sit there and watch the video. And if she was in school, she'd be forced to sit there anyway. I don't think she likes having to do it at home. That maybe she'd rather do it during, you know, if I give regular traditional homework, they could do it during lunch, they could do it, you know, you have some free time in a class. And I think her resistance is having to do it at home.
Right.
Do you think she's nervous because it's a little different than she's used to?
It could be. I actually had a parent just the other day speak to me. One of my students is struggling a little bit, and the parent is wondering if it's perhaps this new method of instruction.
Mm.
You know, she's a little concerned that maybe the child is filling in the notes but is not stopping to really think about things. And so what I explained, and again, this came from my students, is that very early on the kids started asking me, you know, we watched the video, we have the notes, but can we discuss it a little bit together in class?
Right.
And I think that's a really important piece, and I didn't necessarily think of that. The kids brought that to me.
Christina, our friend on the back channel, can you repeat what you said about the notes sheet that they fill out while they're watching the video? You post it ahead of time, is that correct? And do they bring it in class with them?
Right, so the day before I'll give them the sheet, and then they take it home and they watch the video, and then they bring it back the following day. Sometimes it's a graphic organizer, sometimes it's fill in the blank, sometimes there are questions and they just write out the answers.
I have a question. How, you know, if you were to look percentage-wise, because, you know, you can make a distinction between everyone can do a flipped lesson, and then slowly, over time, you might have a flipped classroom, and then you may become a flipped teacher. And you could, and again, it's just a progression. It's part art, part science. Where would you say you are in that spectrum in terms of percentage-wise? Are you still picking and choosing specific units, or do you think that you're on the way to actually becoming fully flipped as an instructor?
It's a good question, right?
Yeah, and Alana knows this. We've spoken about this. I started off very gung-ho. So in the beginning of the year, my first 3 units were very flipped. And eventually, you know, life and grading and parent contact, eventually all these things started building and building and building, and I quickly realized I can't keep up at this pace. It's going to kill me. So the current unit that I'm in is being taught traditionally. The last unit I did, I only made 2 videos for, just because they are time consuming. Once you have it, you have it.
Yeah, that's what
right.
Seth and I tried to make Seth feel better. Usually teachers, when they flip, they don't flip every single lesson. They'll do a unit, and they'll do a unit, and then the next year they'll do another unit, and eventually they have this giant collection. And Seth just dove right in and did every single unit. So I keep telling him it's okay.
Right.
It's okay, right?
Well, it sort of lends itself too. I mean, you have you're transitioning now to the science standards, so this sort of goes hand in hand with. Do you find that? Are you looking to change your curriculum along with making the flipped classroom transition?
Well, it's a little different because I teach a Regents course,
Mm.
so those standards have not changed yet.
Okay.
So
How have your students reacted to the traditional classroom this past unit and a half?
they ask if there are videos. They want to know. Well, and so you guys also helped me build my own website using Google Sites.
You could share that with them, with everyone, so they could see how your layout is. It looks really great.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's try this again with the sharing.
Seth built, and then just, yeah, there you go.
Can you see
There
it?
you go, Seth. Seth built a Google site using a template, and then he customized it, and he has everything in there. I'll let Seth give you a little tour. I'll mute our microphone so Seth's screen shows.
So each class that I teach has its own designated page, and on the page the kids can access all sorts of information. So what I like to do is on Mondays I like to put up the homework for the week, and sometimes I do change it depending on what we've done in class, depending on what the kids need or what questions they have. But the kids really like seeing the whole week at a time, and I think the parents appreciate it too. They also have access to all sorts of documents. Here are the guided notes that they watched for the density video that I made. So even if they forgot to bring it home, they're able to download it off the website. And just, access to all sorts of Google Earth files and PDFs, study guides, all sorts of things. And there are links. And then what I did was I was able to put all of my videos right into the website. So my students are not going on YouTube, or at least not because I'm asking them to. They can just get right to the videos. It takes a little bit of time to pull up, but for this unit in particular, you can see these various videos that are right here on the site. So they know where to go when it comes time to review. They know where to go. If they have questions, they know where to go. And it just makes it a really nice, one-stop shopping, if you will.
Seth, on average, how long does it take for you to actually, and everyone is different, right? So some people are, look, do you want it perfect or do you want it Tuesday? And then other people that I deal with are really into the video editing. So on average, how much time do you spend actually creating content? And do you notice that time is actually shifting because you get more comfortable, or is it remaining just about the same in terms of...
Your mantra, do you want it perfect or do you want it Tuesday? Really, I hear that in my head every time I make a video.
As you should.
I'm a perfectionist, and I wanted my videos to be as good as they could be. And then I realized this is not happening. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a video editor. So, in the beginning, it took me a little bit longer because I was really trying to go for perfection. Now what I've started doing is just taking my existing smartboard files, my PowerPoints, and just tweaking them. Updating some of the pictures, pulling in some animations, and making them. My goal is to try to keep them under 10 minutes. Doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. And so I'll just tweak what I already have, supplement where I need to. But that change in my attitude about it really helped.
Yeah. I'm trying to...
I think we all fall into that trap sometimes because we are hard on ourselves in a way. I mean, we really know what we want to get out there, and if it doesn't match exactly what's in our mind, some people get stymied by that. But it sounds like you're able to sort of find what you want, get it out there in a simple method, and then go back and edit it or when you have the time. So.
Yeah, and I actually haven't done any editing. So what I do is I'll write out either a very detailed script or sort of an outline, because again, I've never done video editing. Although I'm coming.
He's flipped, and he's
Wow.
never video edited. So
Right.
that's really awesome.
Requisite, right.
I'm coming to your workshop next month to learn about how to use iMovie.
Even though he doesn't have a MacBook
We're gonna-
or access to one yet,
we're
he's
gonna
still
ruin him.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to ruin him.
Right, but it does help to have that script.
Well, you think about it. I mean, we're live, right? There's no editing here.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Really. So the experience is. Seth, here's a question for you. This is interesting. Have you experimented with curating content from other places, or are you the one that's actually originating everything. And do you have a philosophy about that, or is that just the way things are turning out?
You know, there is so much good stuff out there. And, you know, something, Leslie, that you had spoken about at one of the workshops is that, you know, my students are going to the site because I'm their teacher. And it's my responsibility, it's my job to teach them. And so I have been mainly using my own material because, you know, we all have a certain way that we teach. We have certain ways that we explain things, but our ways are certainly not the only ways, and they're not always the right ways. There are some wonderful resources out there. The Hommocks Middle School in Mamaroneck, there are 3 earth science teachers, and they have a whole site of podcasts and webcasts that are great, and they know how to edit, and theirs look fantastic. So I've started to use some of theirs, you know, to supplement what I have. Or for students who may need a little bit more, I'll link to some of their videos on my site as well. But I do think it's important for the students to see that you are involved, you're the teacher, you know, but I do think every now and then, you know, you're not an expert in everything. Let them see what other people are doing. Let them see there are other ways to do things.
So when we were working with a cohort of teachers in a local district, and this applies basically to everyone, usually the easiest entry point is, look, if you don't see yourself actually making the stuff, because that could be a barrier, we call a low-tech option. So I actually found this and I posted it for everybody to see. But you set up a camera and you set up a whiteboard. And you actually, it's your presence, and the medium is digitized, but really the content is not. So it can be as low-tech as that. Mm-hmm. Or what I found is if people want to use something like Khan Academy videos, I think it can be incorporated, but I would think you would always want to be that lens and that presence because you're the meaning maker, or you're helping kids maybe form
almost
meaning.
A moderator.
Like a moderator.
Yeah,
like
in
so
between.
you don't have to create the stuff, but it would be great if you were to at least say, okay, you're going to hear some controversial ideas about why markets fail in this lecture.
Commentary.
Here's what I want you to be aware of, and here's how it relates directly back. So I don't know. I think, again, it's part art, part science, but the last message we want to get across is that everyone has to get into the game with producing the video because the most interesting stuff happens when outside of that video production.
Yeah, I mean, in that way, you're also, again, what Seth spoke to, is that you're participating in the process. You're not just saying, well, look at this, we'll look at this, we'll look at this. You're not just the person passing on the knowledge. You actually have to contribute and deliver some of your own knowledge. I think that, you know, people get worried if they're not creating original content, but this comes back to the blended learning discussion where it is. And
that raises a good point too. Seth, did you before you did this, did you actually visit a site first, or did you just do this on your own and started there?
I did it on my own.
Have you ever seen any other classroom in person that does this, or you've only seen like videos and stories? You've never physically visited?
I've never physically visited. I have seen videos, and I've heard from people who've done it. And some of the math teachers in my district do it, but again, I haven't been into their classrooms. But I know that people are making videos.
Oh, also tell everyone about how much time you're saving with the flipped classroom and what you're doing with that time.
Yeah, so that's incredible. So, you know, a lesson that I could make a 10-minute video on would normally take 40 minutes to deliver that lesson because you have students who some write faster, some write slower. Some ask a lot of questions, some don't. It has saved so much time. And again, it's just for really, at this point, delivering the basic facts or the basic skills. It has basically freed up so much time that in past years, kids have had to go home and finish their science labs. They are all getting them done in class. Last week, I had the kids write a 5-paragraph essay. We spent a week reading articles and looking at authentic sources. And they basically wrote an argumentative essay entirely in school. And never have I had time for my kids to do a project like that in school. And so the amount of time that I can devote to literacy, to Common Core, to critical thinking, I've never had so much time before. And it's fantastic. And the kids are, you know, gripping on, and they want to go on this ride. they want to be doing this stuff. They want to be thinking and talking and arguing with each other, much more than sitting in class while I'm at the board, you know, telling them things.
Wow. I mean, that right there, that little snippet could be a commercial for why would you flip your class. I mean, right there, I have time to go in depth, and that's something that you'll hear every classroom teacher saying, I don't have the time to do this. I need to be more in depth with my students. And right there is just, you know, the #1 gift that this style of teaching gives you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Seth, we're mindful of the time. I mean, we can certainly sit and chat with you, and there's probably a dozen questions that I have that people watching this would have. But in your own path, for you, what do you think is the next step? So you've achieved a certain amount of mastery, but is there something else in your mind to say, you know what, you habituate, you get into a habit, that habit has good consequences, intended results. For you, what's the next step at this point?
So I think the next step, obviously, is to make more videos, right? So I'm keeping a list of topics that I want to work on over the summer. You know, that I've already taught this year, you know, to get ready for next year. I think the next step for me is, you know, having the kids watch the video and not just sort of take guided notes that don't really involve thinking. Yeah, there are things they need to know, so that piece is important, but to do more dialogue with it. So maybe using other resources where they could watch a video and then go on, kind of like a back channel, but where they could go on, or Edmodo, or one of those, where they can then discuss.
Right.
You know, I can moderate, and we can have a conversation about it sort of as they're watching it. Like, you know.
Seth, I'm not going to ruin it yet, but each of us are going to share something that has to do with flipping, and the thing I'm sharing is what you actually shared with me in the last Edmodo class you came to with Leslie. It has nothing to do with Edmodo. I'm not going to tell them what it is, but I try to keep it Seth-themed and flipped, and I really liked it. So if you think, I'll say it in the chat so you know what it is.
Okay.
She's really trying to keep us in the dark here.
Yeah, and Seth, the way we've structured this is we're trying to keep these to about an hour, and before you actually came on, each one of us just had something flipped that we were going to share, and I shared a book, actually. I put it in the back channel that's free off of the iBooks. Actually, you might be in a perfect spot at this point in your career to read it and get a lot out of it. It's called The Flipped Classroom by Dr. Dawn Wilson. It's free, and it's available on the iBooks bookstore.
Great.
So I definitely recommend it, and it's the perfect blend of pedagogy and tool, because you really need to talk about both. As much as we would love to say it is not about the technology, well, it isn't, but it is, and then it isn't again. So when it is, it serves a purpose, and then when it's not, it kind of like acts as that enzyme and releases to more instructional discussion.
It sounds like it definitely has got a good amount of inspiration in it, too, and practical approach.
Well, it's realistic.
Yeah.
It's completely realistic, so it's very tenable.
Oh, also one last thing, Seth. Tell everyone what you had your students do over the summer.
So before school started, I had made a video up. I didn't make it. I found this one on YouTube. It was a video about earth science. It was just sort of an introduction. It was just images and music. And I had my students watch it, and they had to pause it at certain points and make some observations. They had to sort of predict what they thought the course would be like during the summer, you know, what would be coming up. And then they went on to Edmodo, and they had to tell us what they did during the summer, and they had to respond a little bit to each other. And all of that before I even met them on day one.
Yeah, so he got them ready before they ever came to his class.
That is great.
Yeah. So they're ready to jump in that very first time.
That's right.
So, wow. Any other sort of tidbits you'd want to share with anybody about what the experience in your flipped classroom? Maybe something you didn't anticipate.
Oh wait, and to piggyback, speaking of anticipation. Okay. So Seth, if you can combine the two questions, that would be great. Have you had an administrator observe you doing an actual flipped lesson? No, not yet. That's going to have to wait till next episode.
Oh, okay.
You can get back to me.
Okay. Well, no. My thing is, has there anything that you've been maybe sort of pleasantly surprised by, that you've encountered, that you really didn't anticipate when you flipped your classroom? Sort of like, oh, this is a nice surprise. I mean, I see you're talking about the time.
Right.
And
I'm surprised that all of my students are watching the videos. I'm surprised that they're all coming in with these notes, and that when I have on the board to watch a video, like I hear them, yeah, we get to watch a video tonight. And so I'm surprised by that, and
I love it.
thrilled by it.
I know. I mean, that you know, you can hear the joy in your voice about connecting with your students at this level, and you know, that's just so nice to hear. I mean, sometimes, you know, we all get bogged down in what we're doing in education, but it just seems like this is brought back the falling in love with what you're doing again. I think we had a conversation about this a while ago, that really, you know, you sort of rediscover what it is that really is special about your classroom. And it sounds, just by the way you're talking, I mean, I would love to be a student in your class.
I know.
I'm smiling just thinking about it.
And also what I found interesting is Seth has colleagues that teach the same course that don't do this, and you all use the same standard, like, assessments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty interesting, because they could do a comparison at the end of the year on the different methods of teaching, because all the students take the same tests, right?
They do, and my colleague students, from hearing from my students, they keep asking, are we going to get to watch his videos?
Oh, my.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure that's interesting for faculty room discussion.
Yeah.
Well, it's an open site, right? They could actually go and watch them if they chose.
If they
Absolutely.
wanted to.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've done is I'm starting to take videos while I travel, and when I go out hiking, I'm taking videos, and just, you know, 2-minute videos, and just sort of narrating while I videotape, and the kids love it, because you can't take them to these places.
You took it out on vacation with him. Where'd you go over the summer?
Was it
We went
Glacier?
to Yellowstone and Glacier National Park.
Wow.
And he brought his classroom with him on vacation.
Right.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
an amazing tool.
So, Seth, I hear a bell.
I hear
in
a
the
Yeah,
bell.
Seth
Like,
has
does
to
that
go.
mean
Yeah,
you
I
have to
think.
go?
Actually, I'm actually good. I don't actually have to go. I'd love to hang out and watch the rest.
Fantastic.
If I-
Okay.
Wow. This is a great guest that we
Yeah,
have.
we could just keep going in the next segment, and you could feel free to converse and chime in.
Cool.
We need one of those.
And if you
couches
need
like
to
the
go,
Tonight
just
Show.
let us know.
Seth,
Okay.
this was your first hangout. I have to really give you the highest props for being so willing and elegant, and this is even more reason for you to run out over the holiday break and get yourself a Mac laptop. That's all I'm going to say.
I did. I spoke to our director of technology, and he says there are 1 or 2 in the district, and he's going to make sure that I have access to one of them.
Ooh,
All right,
nice.
fantastic.
Excellent.
Well, you've given so much to us. We're going to give back to you a little bit. So in the minutes that we have remaining, Alana and May are basically going to surprise us and each other with what they picked out, just in the spirit of flipping. So
We'll try to make it like a speed dating and just cram it all
exactly,
in.
yeah.
So you're gonna
I'll
reflect
share.
to my MacBook,
Okay.
not to the Apple TV. Do it to
Right.
my MacBook, and then I'll share my screen.
There you go.
All right. Here we are.
Make sure mirror is on.
She's gonna share an app with us. But Seth, I think you know about this one.
Okay.
Hold on.
We're almost
My
there.
information now.
Almost there.
Okay,
Here we go.
but we see your today's meet.
You see
So-
my today's meet. Uh-oh. Let's see. Alana's MacBook. My mirroring is
Yeah,
on.
no, it's good. But you go to the home screen.
Okay, I'm at home.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, I think
I think
her
we're frozen.
iPad is
Friday
frozen.
The 13th
Of course it
happened.
is.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
There
Alana,
we
you're
go.
up.
So I don't see anything though,
Let's
May.
see, fix something.
How's that?
Nope. Screen share and try again.
Unscreen share and try again.
Yep.
Okay. So let's try that.
Too much
Sorry
technology.
about the technical difficulties here. Uh-oh, where'd my screen sharing go?
Let me.
All right, Alana's up.
Alana's going. Yep.
Okay, I'm just gonna quit Reflector. Maybe I'll try again, and that will work. And if that doesn't, I'll just go. Okay, try one more time.
I'm not getting the option for it here. It kicked me out completely. Well,
Okay, so you could restart your
I'll
iPad, and
restart it,
I'll
yeah.
just go. Okay,
I'm gonna have
so I have a few flipped tools. I'm just going to share my screen. I'll just share my whole desktop. It's actually, let me pull it up. I'm going to share my Firefox because I'm logged on 2 different accounts with 2 different browsers.
She's a
There's
multitasker.
not enough browsers in the world for Alana to have open at any one time.
Is this it? I'm just going to share my desktop because I have too many windows open. Okay, so that was the one. Okay, so I have a few tools. One of them is Video Notes, and Leslie, this is the one that I knew that you'd know what it is, and Seth, I think you'll like this too.
I thought I shared this with her, to be honest with you, but that's okay.
It was in my YouTube class.
Oh,
well, I haven't seen it before,
I didn't pay attention.
so it's
Okay,
new
so
to me.
I picked a video that I thought was relevant to the season and today because immediately after this, May and I are participating in a cookie swap. So I found a video called The Chemistry of Cookies, and Seth's a science teacher, so it kind of all ties together. And Video Notes actually allows you to watch a YouTube video on the left-hand side and write your own notes about the video on the right-hand side, and it's time-stamped for when that part of the video is. So when I go back and I click on sodium bicarbonate, it brings me to that portion in the video. I could press play and
Helping this
rewatch
along
it.
is your leavening agent, sodium bicarbonate, or baking soda. The sodium bicarbonate reacts with acids in the dough to create carbon dioxide.
So you get what that does, and you could write all your notes, but the most amazing thing about it
Here it
is it
comes.
actually, Seth, ready for it?
Get ready,
Yeah.
Seth.
Syncs with your Google Drive. So here's my Google Drive. It makes its own folder called Video Notes. Now if I click on The Chemistry of Cookies, it obviously cannot preview it, so I say Open with Video Notes. I open it, and there it is. So you also, oh, there we go, it's loading. You could also share it with other people and take collaborative notes on the video together.
So, Seth, your kids can be watching the video, and they could be taking notes and time-stamping them, and they can share their notes to Google Drive. So if, let's say, kids are watching video at a specific time, you can give a glimpse and just get a sense, okay, where's everybody getting stuck, what kind of questions that they're asking. So, and since I think it only works with YouTube right now.
And Vimeo. No, that's I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. I have another tool to share with you. This one's only YouTube exclusively. Are we ready to move on to the next one? Because I'm trying to cram it in, so we're all in an hour.
And we'll pin those too.
So Video Notes, and Leslie, here's the one you don't know about. And I actually learned it from Seth. And Seth was sitting next to me in the Edmodo one. He said, have you ever heard about this? And I wrote it down. And when I was looking for something today, I was like, oh my goodness, the one Seth shared with me. So it's a Seth-themed flipping day. It is called Educanon. Do you remember this, Seth?
I do, yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen again one more time, and I am going to share the screen, and I'll show you what it does first. So Educanon allows you to use your YouTube videos or your Vimeo videos, and you could insert multiple choice questions into your video. So it pauses. I'll show you one. It pauses the video and it asks a multiple choice question, and the student has to answer that question. And you could provide feedback. So you could say, yes, that is correct, and give a description, or no, that's not correct, and give a description. And then they move on to watching the rest of the video. I know that there have been other tools that do this too, but it doesn't provide the teacher with the feedback.
Right.
Educanon, I'll quickly show you, shows you this. Well, you could either have your students self-register and they do not need an email address, or you could import a class roster and they give you a template. So if you look on my screen, if the students are listed on the left and there's all the questions horizontally across the top, if they get it incorrect, it's highlighted in red. If it's correct, it's green, and if they haven't answered yet, it's gray. So you could just look at that and go, oh, wow, question 1, the students clearly do not understand this. So the students can be interacting with the video as they're watching it, and you can not only make sure they did their homework and watch the video, but you could see if they comprehended it. And you could also do open-ended question. So I'll show you a little quick one-question one. I just picked one of the teacher spotlights. This is about the Constitution. I'll do one question, and then I think that's enough. So here it goes.
Hi, I'm John Green. This is Crash Course U.S. History, and today we're going to talk about the United States Constitution. And in doing so, we're going to explore how the American style of government became the envy of the entire world, so much so that everyone else copied us. What's that, Stan? We're not going to talk about other countries stealing our form of government because no other country stole our form of government?
So how did the U.S. government become the envy of the entire world? How do we know people liked our government? And then you have multiple choice. So many countries copied us, other countries declared war, and so on and so on. So I know the answer, because I paid attention, is many countries copied us. I could click that, and I click Submit. And it says, yes, our Constitution was modeled by many democracies throughout the world. And then if I got it incorrect, it would be a different message. And then I would just click Continue. I'm going to press Pause. And it would go on, and then if you see all these little question marks on the timeline, those are all multiple choice questions that the students have to answer throughout the video. So that was my quickest sharing I could think of. I'm going to unscreen share now. Oh, I am unscreen sharing.
That's a great resource because the students can self-monitor how well they're understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the feedback they get. I was going to share something similar to that, which was a way to sort of put little timestamps in your video, like bookmarks, to jump ahead. So if a student understands something, they get it right, they have this little interactive quiz, it skips them farther along in the video to start watching the next portion. And if they got the question wrong, they would just go through a little more basic instructions before they caught up to that point. So that was something interesting. I didn't know how to bring it, but that's
YouTube
version.
You choose the ending. So there's a question, and then you either click like a portion of the screen, or another portion could say like click here for if you think the answer is this, click here for this, and depending on what you click, it'll bring you to a different video. So you could go on 2 different paths. So if they got it correct, they can move on. If they didn't, they could get more support. I actually teach a whole class on all about YouTube videos and what you could do with the videos and what you do after students watch the videos, and all the tools that we just shared just now about YouTube videos are in that class.
It's YouTube in the classroom, and I think we're going to try to schedule a section for March, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, for March. I don't hold me on the date, but I think I scheduled it for March 16th on a Wednesday. I'm not sure. It's not up on my learning plan yet, but it will be by the end of today. So look for that, and we're going to see if May can.
If I can screen share here. All right, I rebooted, and I did have that option.
Good.
So let's see if my mirroring will come up now.
So now we want to mirror.
But Seth, do you think that this is something you might use now, even though you taught me about it?
You know what? I asked you about it. I've never actually used it, but yeah, I would love to try that because I think it's, as his parent said, she thinks her child is watching the videos but not really thinking about anything.
Right.
So by putting questions in, you're slowing the students down and you're forcing them to really think. And if the teacher can see the results and the student can see it, it's a win-win.
Right.
Definitely.
So we'll solve that, your students and the parents' concerns, the issues. Okay, so May has hers up. I'm just going to screen share now so everyone could see May's.
Okay. I just had this app that I came across. It's a quick and easy little thing. I don't know if you've ever used it, Seth, but it's called Show Me. And I do believe it is free in the App Store. I just created a quick one here, but I just registered. And it's a way for you to sort of diagram what's going on your screen and to be able to share. I made a quick one here, but I think I'm going to make a new one since we're right here. And with this, I'm able to write on
but press record.
The screen. Aha, I have to press record. There we go. I'm recording right now. You're getting my audio. So here's my bad handwriting. And I'll write free app. Okay. It allows me. Oh, I'm having some feedback here. But I'm going to pause it. And then you're going to see there that. Does it show on the screen that I paused it? You can see it blinking down at the bottom. So let's see if I can bring something else in to that.
And these tend to fall under the category of whiteboarding
apps? Yeah, whiteboarding apps. Yeah, there's EduCreations also. It looks to me like Show Me made it so you could have more than one page, which That
Yep.
was the one advantage of Educreations. I preferred Show Me, but Educreations had adding more pages. And from looking at May's screen on the
Yep,
top
you said
right,
back
you
there's
can have
one.
multiple pages,
there
which is a
two.
new feature with the update. So
You can also put in, if I wanted to choose a photo, if I took something still, for example, I took a shot of our background while we were getting ready here. So this
That's
was just
the
an
Apple TV.
So I want to say, okay, I'm done with it, but now I can annotate this picture if I want. So here we are. You have the Wolverine.
oh, you're
is
paused.
the
You're
movie.
paused.
Oh,
so.
I'm paused again. Sorry. Thank you, Lana. Yep. As she pointed out, you can see in the bottom that I'm paused. So I was able to draw a picture around it, or if I want to erase it, just like a whiteboard, I can.
So
We'll do
I'm
that.
thinking if Seth goes out and takes pictures on his next venture, wherever
Yep.
it is you're heading.
You can come in and annotate it and share it that way. So
There's also other apps where you could annotate
Pause it.
over videos, which is pretty cool.
So I have this. I've paused it now, but I'm going to say save my Show Me.
Yeah.
And we're saving it there.
Press record. There we go. I'm recording right now. You're getting my audio.
And you can hear all of that. It's
So here's my
previewing
bad
it.
handwriting. And I'll
Alright.
write free app.
Pausing is a nice feature.
Yeah,
Yes.
You don't
because you
have to
could
be
bring in
perfect the first
pictures.
time. Right.
If
It
you
allows
remember
me-
to pause, like I
Oh,
do.
well,
So I'm just going to say save, and I'm going to name it, and we're going to call it Test 2. So you're getting something really basic from me. And then you get to choose your topic if you want to, because it does share out through their website.
Right.
So they do want you to categorize it for.
Yeah, so you do not need this app to watch the teacher-created Show Me's. The
Correct.
teachers can send out or post a link to these, and students can watch it on any device.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
So I'm going to
I'm
put
gonna-
my topic, and I'm going to put technology.
And that's
Tech.
usually so here's the I guess
I'm not screen sharing.
the big message, the bottom line. The tool is not the barrier anymore
No.
because you could start with flipping by your iPad or iPhone or Droid camera and start working with video and ask some compelling questions like Seth when he goes out to Glacier National Park. You know, what did we learn that would account for this, or what structure am I looking at here? Or, I mean, it can be as simple as that. It can be as elaborate as piecing all these things together in something like Camtasia Studio or iMovie.
Mm-hmm.
But
The more advanced side.
it's probably, I'll say it's probably the easiest and hardest thing that you'll ever try.
Yeah.
With technology, because there are many flipped teachers already. It's just when you combine that disposition with the tool set, it's like the light bulb going off. So,
Yeah.
Seth, we can't thank you enough for joining us.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
so
it's been-
thankful.
It's been my pleasure. This has been a lot of fun.
You know you're viral now, right? I mean, technically you're viral now. So we're going to send you and everybody else a link to this. It's actually posted to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, the same link that you went to access it, it will still be there listed with the other ones.
Right.
So we don't even need to send the link to the video because I already have
And
it.
if you want a sneak peek into January's episode,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we have somebody on tap that it's interesting because it's kind of flipped, but we found someone that we asked to speak about how they're dealing with technology in the Common Core modules for elementary math. And it could be a bigger discussion, but I think it's interesting because a lot of districts are actually looking at those modules, but the kick is she's actually a flipped teacher, so we might be able to revisit some of this here today as well. So,
Seth,
So
what
we'll see
was
flipping at the elementary level.
flipping
yeah?
at the elementary level.
What was the one thing today? Did you learn anything new today?
Yeah, I think that video notes and seeing Educan and seeing you use it, I've got all sorts of crazy ideas now.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you could just take your pre-existing videos and make them even better next year.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Excellent.
Seth, thank you. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody who's watching this, who participated, and enjoy a wonderful holiday break. And we will see you in January again, live from Model Schools.
Seth, don't hang up yet. I'm just gonna
Okay.
end the podcast.
Excellent.
Okay.